Good afternoon, everybody, and we are finally on to part 3 of the headlamp surround slash bezel surround replacement job. So, what we need to do is there are actually, if we count, holding in the headlight surrounds for the quad headlight models on each side, there are 2 screws at the top underneath the cover, which I'm just in the process of removing. And there is 2 under the bottom of the headlight surround, which you can get to by lying on the floor and looking up through the bumper area, so the gap between the bumper and the car bodywork. And there is one behind the actual grille itself. Now, it is actually a lot easier if you remove the grille before doing this. But what I did, because I was lazy and didn't really want to remove the grille, is I managed to sort of gently flex the surrounds both sort of in and out of where they're supposed to go. So the actual sort of mounting point on the surround actually goes into behind the grille and sort of slots in behind the grille itself. It is a lot easier to do it without the grille in place. So if I was going to do this job again, I would undo the 4 10mm nuts bolts holding in the grille, and remove the grille completely. The way I actually went about it was because it's sort of very flexible metal, it's sort of like aluminium, I actually sort of bent the mounting bracket out of the way, managed to slot in the headlight surround, did this on both sides, and then bend the mounting bracket back into place, and then obviously just replace the cross-headed screw quite easily after that. As I say, and I will sort of keep stressing, it is actually a good idea to completely remove the grille. It just makes life a heck of a lot easier. A couple of unusual things that I noticed. The bit of plastic that covers the screws at the top, on one side, on the driver's side, it had a rubber weather strip. On the passenger side, that weather strip was absent. It also seems that on later models, the actual headlight surrounds have a rubber strip mounted at the bottom, which is sort of like this. It's the type of rubber strip that's got the metal, sort of flexible metal inserts that you sort of fold over a flange, and that was stuck down with some sort of like tiger seal, very sort of sticky sort of substance. So, because it wouldn't actually fit on the passenger side, I went about removing that individual strip, and I reused that strip on the passenger side top cover, which covers the top 2 screws on the headlight surround, and just sort of mounted that in. So I need to actually stick it down properly, but I just mounted it in whilst the bonnet was open, sort of went in from the side, and sort of got it mounted in there. So the bonnet is actually holding it shut, but it's just an extra little seal over the top, which wasn't there previously. As I say, it does seem later models do actually have the seal at the bottom as well. It's possible that mine had a seal at the bottom originally, but because both the bezels have been off, or surrounds have been off at some point in the past, those seals have long gone. The passenger side was very similar to the driver's side. There wasn't sort of really any sort of huge dramas or anything like that. The only thing I noted was that one of the top screws had become sort of rounded off at some point, so I had to get a pair of pliers onto that, and then had to replace it with a suitable screw from my collection of many varied and different screws. We're still, as you can see here, on the driver's side, and you can get to all of the screws using a little stubby Phillips or crosshead screwdriver. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using a longer screwdriver just to get that one started, and then just finishing it off with a stubby little one. You may find if if your car has been either sort of outside or has been subject to sort of more adverse weather, salt, etc. than my one has, that those screws may be rusted, so you may have to actually resort to drilling them out. What I would recommend if you want to try and avoid that is just saturate the area with your preferred penetrating fluid. Personally, I prefer plus gas. WD-40 is alright, but plus gas seems to just have sort of an extra little edge. WD-40 seems to be more readily available though. Plus gas I usually have to order online. You can't seem to sort of buy it in shops that easily, although I think Halfords does stock it, so yeah, I think you can get it. It's just I find it easier to get it online. Usually works out a bit cheaper too as well. So, as I said at the beginning, you do have 5 screws holding the surround in. You've got 2 screws at the top of the surround, 1 screw to the side behind the actual grille itself, and 2 screws underneath. And as I said, for the underneath ones you do need to sort of get down and get up to them behind the bumper. Thankfully you don't have to remove the bumper to get to them, which was something that I wasn't particularly looking forward to having to do. I've done it before when I replaced the grille back at the NEC. I actually took the bumper off to remove an old fan I'd had in behind there. Many years previously I experimented with running an electric fan setup, and I used a fan from a Saab 9000 which I had around replacing the conventional viscous coupling fan you can see in the picture there, and I also used the condenser fan off a model with air conditioning, because at the time I had a couple of spares cars. Both those spares cars happened to be Sovereigns, so I stole one of the fans out of those and managed to borrow the relay which you need for the fan as well, but using the sort of the wiring that came off the fan, I was able to splice into that to power the fan on the other side as well. And it worked very well. I had a temperature sender stuck into the top hose, which I set at a particular temperature. I think I set it to about 95 degrees. And I also had an override switch in the cabin, which allowed me to turn it on and turn it off whenever I was sort of stuck in traffic. Anyway, back to these headlight surrounds. You can see that one there had the rubber bit on the bottom, and what I did was I actually removed the rubber bit, as I said earlier, and then went about mounting this one in place here. So the actual reason for replacing these was the one on the driver's side had lost its rubber seal, and despite replacing that rubber seal back at the NEC, it seems that sort of during the journey home that rubber seal seems to have vanished. So not sure where it's gone. It's probably on the M5 somewhere, but it's long gone now, unfortunately. So I'd managed to I already had one of the headlight surrounds anyway, which I got off a scrap 4-litre XJ6, and I decided to invest in the passenger side one as well, simply because the passenger side one had a huge crack in it, which was a little bit disappointing. So I've actually kept both surrounds, and what I intend to do is to really just sort of clean them up and see if I can fix that passenger side surround. So the chrome surrounds are something that seems to be sort of specific to the earlier XJ40s. The later ones have sort of like an all-colour finish. So the one on the passenger side actually came off of something in a really nice sort of dark metallic green colour. But anyway, here we go. I'm rather pleased with the result. You can see I've put that rubber strip in there, so that sort of completes the look at the front of the car. All of the rubber is correct. I'm tempted to actually put some rubber renew on it to keep it looking good. And that's that. Anyway, hopefully you have found this video useful. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button, and also consider subscribing for more upcoming fascinating hobbies. And that went on rather longer than I thought, and there we go. Thank you very much for watching.